Okay, I am ready to make my fire. I've got the water all set up, and so I'm going to try some fire. Cleared out an area here with some dirt, bottle up here, and brought that down and made a nice little dirt pile. What I'm going to use, I've got this stack of twigs from laying around years and years and years ago. I don't know where I heard it from or where I read it, but you take a egg carton, the cloth type, and you fill the sockets up with lint, dryer lint, or sawdust. And then once you do that, then you fill it with wax. And I've carried these around, like I said, I won't tell you how many decades, and I've never used them. And so I've got that here. I've got a little piece of, I used my new Mora knife. I picked this up at the Smoky Mountain Knife Works there in Pigeon Forge, or Sevierville, whatever it's called. When we left North Carolina, I stopped by and made one last purchase, and so I used that to shave this off. Little shavings or 1/8 inch thick, and I've got that stacked up. And then I'm going to use my new Mora, and this has got the flint inside of it. You just twist the handle and take this out. And so I'm going to see how that is. I've got some dryer lint down in here that I've spread apart, and then I've got the egg carton wax on top of it. So let's see how this does for starting a fire. Oh, one strike. And again, I'm not going to have a big boiling fire like you would normally have, because this is our worst fire season here in Washington, and the conditions are red still. So I'm just going to build a little small one here, again, just to test out a few things that I have for fire starting capabilities, like the new Mora. And I'm not going to let it burn all night. I've got water that I'll douse it out with. But I just wanted to check some techniques and see if I could do it and how easy it was. And that to me was pretty easy, using the lint. I don't see the cardboard or the wax burning all that well. I see pieces here. I think it was more just the dryer lint maybe that helped on that. And it just picked right up. The dryer lint was just dry. I didn't have any Vaseline on it. So I've got some others that I'll test later, which I know it works. I've used it before, and that's the Vaseline balls, cotton balls soaked in Vaseline. But I've got a couple of other things that I want to try that I picked up at the store. I think it was in video 2 or video 3 of this series that shows the stuff that I bought at the White Elephant in Spokane yesterday out in the valley. So anyway, that worked. I'm very pleased with it, and we'll go on to our next test. All right, before it gets too dark, I want to go ahead and set up my new fuel stove that I have. I picked this up from the Bunker, a friend of mine down in Richland. It's kind of like an Army surplus store. He's got all kinds of backpacking, or not backpacking per se, but a lot of Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, camo. He just started selling weapons, and but he's got all kinds of stuff in there. And he had these little fuel stove with multi-fuels DS, and I can't remember what the name of that is, but it's a company out of it's either Coeur d'Alene or Post Falls, just over the border here from Spokane. And it's a really good stove. This is one that I had thought about buying from a different company, but it will do wood, alcohol, fuel tablets made out of 20 gauge stainless steel. It's really nice, and I just want to show you this and how to put it together. Each of the parts are etched with what side they are. You can't see that here, but if it's front, back, sides, this has front etched into it, and this is front. And I made a windshield. We had some lasagna from Costco, and I took the bottom pan and hammered it out and made that. So if there's any wind, and again, this is something that I want to test out. Here are the sides, and the back, made in the USA. So you just take that and a side, and I don't know if you can see how they are, but they just groove, slots and grooves into each other, and then they slide down. And you do the other side in the same way, slots and grooves, and slide it down. And then you put the center plate into it. Now, again, I don't know if you can see it, but there are 3 slots, a low, a medium, and a high. So it all depends on what you are using, what type of fuel, to where you would set this center plate. If you had just a small alcohol stove, maybe using some fuel tablets, you need those up higher. My alcohol stove, I think, will fit in this middle one. And if you're just using wood, which is another thing that I wanted to test, you would put it down here on the bottom. So I'm going to put this in the middle, and it also says front on it. And so you just slide it into the back and the side grooves, and then you take the one that says front and you put it on. And this one you have to go the opposite direction, which the other slides down, this one slides up, and you put those in their grooves. And then you take the center portion and you have to kind of push up and push that centerpiece down, or bow the front piece, so that everything will slide into place, and then you end up with a nice, good, sturdy unit. And then you got the opening here. So like I said, if you put, whoops, too high. If you put the pan or the centerpiece down here on the bottom, then you have an opening here to where you could take and stuff wood in to feed the fire. But like I said, I've got an alcohol stove that I'm going to try it and see if it will fit there. Again, this is just one of those items that I'm wanting to test. I was sitting here with nothing else to do, just kind of looking around, and it's like, you know what, I'm going to make a feather stick. I've never done that. So I tried making a feather stick, and I ended up plucking most of my feathers as I was making it. Not as easy as it looks, and it might be because this is just a hard piece of wood. I got some feathers, but probably half of them I ended up cutting off. So again, trial and error. The other portion of this stove is they have these 3 L-shaped pieces, and those actually slide in. There's grooves cut out, and you slide them in. I didn't the first time. I kind of set it on top, and I watched the video, and I said, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. And then when you do that, you can pick the stove up. So if you needed to move it without getting burned, you can pick it up like this and move the stove. Or if you needed to do, like I said, the alcohol stove, you could take it out. So I want to get this set up with my alcohol stove, and then later on we'll light it up and boil up some water for dinner.